Hi there, students. This video is for graphic design students learning about layout. In this video, we're going to talk about bleed and safety. These margins need to be accounted for before you begin a product. Let's break down what they are. The red line, which is called the cut line or the trim, represents the true dimensions of your product. If you were creating a 4-inch by 4-inch card, this would be the 4 inches by 4 inches. That'd be your true product. The green line is called the bleed line. That would be the dimensions of your canvas, extending beyond the product dimensions. The bleed line creates this margin of space where parts of your colors and designs spill out beyond the dimensions of your product. When your product is trimmed, these areas are sheared off by the printer, and it results in the colors coming right up to the edge of your product. It looks really nice. The safety zone is a margin of space that protects essential graphics and text within your product. In essence, you don't let anything important come anywhere near the cut line within this margin. The standard dimensions for a bleed and a safety are both 0.125 inches. That's 1/8 of an inch. So that would mean that for a 4-inch by 4-inch product, you would have 1/8 of an inch extended on the right, 1/8 of an inch extended on the left, and on the top and the bottom. Let's illustrate the concept. The blue line here represents the cut line or the trim. There's a margin where part of the photograph background extends past this. See? When the printer shears off that part of the paper, the graphics will come right up to the edge of the product. The graphics will come right up to the edge of the product. If we look at the text, both here at the logo and here at the type, you'll see a consistent distance from the edge of the product. That's the safety zone. These are essential graphics, and they're not allowed to come anywhere near that trim. Let's look at example and non-example. The dotted red line represents the trim. You'll see that the rocket word of this logo extends outside of the safety zone, putting it at risk when it's going to be trimmed at the print shop. To correct this, I need to move the rocket logo in and within the safety margin. I'm sure there's some way to accomplish this in an automated fashion. If so, please let me know. But for now, let's just do this. We're going to create a new product. Let's say a business card. Now the standard dimensions for a business card are 2 inches by 3.5. So all we would do for our canvas is we would do 3.5 by 2, right? Wrong. We need to account for the bleed margin in here. So if you have 1/8 of an inch on the right and 1/8 of an inch on the left, that's going to impact the width. 1/8 plus 1/8 is 1/4 of an inch. And since we're using decimals here, just think in terms of money. What's $3.50 plus 25 cents? Well, that would be $3.75 if we add 1/4 of an inch to this. The height is 2. We need a bleed on the top and a bleed on the bottom. That means our height will also be 2.25. For your assignment in my class, I want you to have a visible cut line but an invisible safety margin. Here's how we do that. Zoom in, and I'm going to use the marquee tool found right here. The marquee tool, you'll see, shows height and width dimensions. This is a poor man's measuring rod. I'm going to draw a box and go to 0.125. Now on my computer, it jumps from 123 to 127. I'm just going to do 127 and then drag guides right here to the edge of my box. Now I'm going to go down over here and do the same thing in the bottom right corner, 0.127, drop some guides in there, zoom out, and we've got our bleed margin in there. Using the shape tool, I'm going to select rectangle. Make sure your stroke's nice and small. I'm just going for 1/2 of a point, and I'm going to just do the color red for visibility and dotted lines for our learning here. And simply go to these intersection points and drop the cut line into the product. We no longer need these guides. We can manually get rid of them or go up to View, Clear Guides. Now we have our product dimensions. Let's measure that to make sure it is 3.5 by 2. Sure enough, there it is. Close enough, 3.5 by 2. Now let's do our safety. Do 0.127, drop in your guides. Now remember, these will be invisible. This is just to help you know where not to put anything in your design. And there, we've got our safety zone. Let's make a really ugly, just generic business card here. And then after that, we're going to create our card sheet for mass production. So let's look at this and make sure that it functions. And oh no, this little border that I made is extending past the safety. I would say that that is a critical element in this design here. So I'm simply going to move that down, and that's going to impact the rest of my composition. So I'll shift the text accordingly. Make sure none of the other text is within it, and we've got room to work. So I'm just going to move this down here, shift things a little bit, take full advantage of that margin. But you'll see my photograph extends outside the boundaries of my canvas. I'm also going to crop my product first. I'm going to click on the crop tool, and it automatically creates a bounding box around my piece. Hit enter, and let's see if all of that was cropped. When I pull it to the right, I should see white space here. And do we? Yep, 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 looking good. To create your card sheet, I want you guys to do this. It's going to be 8.5 by 11 on cardstock, but we need them all to line up correctly. I'm just going to set a guide up to help me align everything. I'm going to make sure that it's the same size as the bleed on my card product. So 0.127, drop some guides in. All right, so we've got our guides placed. Now let's move our card over. Simply go to the file, grab the layer that you want, drag it up into the tab, drop it in there. All right. So students, you have a cut line and a bleed on your card. What I want you to do is align the cut line to the guides that you've just made. All right. So your bleed comes right up to the edge of your card sheet. Cut line falls right on those guides that you created. To build the rest of the card sheet, dupe the layer and bring it into contact with the base of the other card. So what you're going to have is product, trim with the bleed, and then it's going to impact the other bleed, and then trim of the product again. Duplicate and build the left column of your business cards. Now the right column should be for the back side of your card, but just to illustrate for now, let's pretend that that's what we're using right now. On the other side, use the guides that you built and align, again, the cut line right up to the edge. And this is what your card sheet should look like for this exercise. Run it through the printer once, then place it in again in such an alignment that it prints on the back side. If you hold it up to the light and you don't see any offset or ghosting, you've done it correctly. Hope you found this helpful, students. I'll see you in class. Bye-bye.